Capricorn, what's going on? Welcome into the channel. So happy to have you here always. My name is Deborah, owner of Purusha Holistic Wellness, and this is another episode of Purusha Intuitive, where we're going to look at your energy via the tarot, astrology, and any channeled messages that come through. So let's get into it. We are wrapping up Cancer season. We're about to move into Leo season. We have a new moon on the horizon and have had a couple planets go into retrograde since we last talked. We have 4 planets in retrograde right now, and Chiron is also about to go into retrograde. So retrogrades really encourage us to kind of slow down, take a beat, think through what is happening in our life. We have Saturn and Neptune on top of each other in Aries, and so it's asking us to trust ourselves, trust our instincts, trust our intuition, even in those places, or more specifically in those places that like maybe we don't want to listen, right? Like the things that we kind of avoid or just like are crossing our fingers hoping it's not true, etc. That stuff is really being highlighted right now, and it's really hard to escape it, especially as Chiron's going into retrograde. Chiron is our wound healer, so it really helps us see beyond limitations. It helps us grow. Excuse me, that just was like burning my fingies. It helps us grow. It helps us evolve. It helps us to be better versions of ourselves. And that's not always easy, right? Especially like as we're going through change or we're seeing situations, people highlighted for who and what they are. That can be such a defeating process in and of itself. And oftentimes we're kind of like self-protecting in that process. We're like hoping that whatever is not necessarily what we're seeing it to be. And that's the moral of the story right now with Saturn and Neptune in retrograde in Aries. So that's why I like to start these readings off with an energy cleansing, just to set the tone, set the vibe for the reading, cleanse out those places that we're feeling blocked or stuck, or, you know, just unable to kind of see or find a pathway through whatever we're navigating, right? It's a really good time to set your own intention as well, Capricorn, especially if you've come in with something on your heart, on your mind, something you would like Spirit to deliver messages to you around. Definitely give that over. Be open to receive. It's a really great way to personalize these collective readings. And I also do personal readings. I offer a variety of healing and wellness services. Readings are one of them. If you want me to look at your specific situation, how it's faring, where it's headed, or if you're interested in that realignment of self, mind, body, soul, I do energy healing as well as Ayurvedic or holistic wellness consultations. When we're aligned in self, when we know what we want, who we are, how things affect us, etc., that's really where we're manifesting our happiness, our abundance, our success. When we're disconnected, we can't really do it, right? Because we don't really know. And I would love to help support in whatever way possible. Definitely hit me up. All the info to get into contact with me is in the description box below. All right, let's get into it. I bless you with pure love and light, pure source energy, pure loving grace. I release anything that is not for your highest and best. Any fears, doubts, insecurities, lack of worth, lack of value, pain, anger, frustration, impatience, overwhelm. Cleanse it and release it from our being, so that we may see and understand the messages clearly. Help to make me a clear and open channel for the collective. Thank you, Father God, Spirit guides. This is falling apart. Oh, guardian angels, Mama love. All right, let me pick this up a little bit, but I'm hearing like there are some things that are kind of falling apart for you right now, Capricorn. It feels definitely like plans, ideas that you had in place, that you were like really confident it was going to work out. And now that things are changing a bit, or changing from maybe like what your original plan was, it doesn't mean that what you want is not happening. I think it's just happening in a way that's not anticipated, that wasn't really how you saw things playing out. And I feel like that's kind of the difficulty right now, because it does feel like you're in the thick of some messiness. You're in the thick of seeing the results of something that you chose, and it feels like someone specifically who's kind of creating some of this mess, i.e. where this fate card is coming into play. So rest assured, I mean, especially if you're not in the easiest dynamic, or if it's really heavy on your heart, on your soul right now, there is this understanding that this was meant to happen. I know that doesn't make things easier per se, but sometimes when we're in victim mentality, how could this happen to me? I was doing X, Y, and Z. It makes it really hard to just accept or have some level of awareness, some level of wisdom around why things are playing out in the way that they are. I'm hearing you're taking it hard, you're taking it personally, you're taking something that like, it's not all your fault is what I want to say, right? Like, it's not all your fault. I think you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself because maybe instinctually, intuitively, there was a part of you that understood this, you know, or like you had some hints around it and you chose otherwise. I think that that's kind of where you're kicking yourself. But I don't feel like that's necessarily appropriate in the way that like it's teaching you to trust your intuition. This is part of the process. That's what it's telling you. This is part of the process. It's part of the journey. It's areas that, you know, like sometimes cycles happen. There's beginning, there's middle, and there's end. Sorry, I know that sounds stupid. Sorry. But it is this, like, that's kind of how I'm hearing it. It looks like you're, and why I'm saying that, why I'm highlighting it, is it's like you're almost holding on to someone or something too tightly. Something that you know is just not, here's the thing, your intuition is speaking to you all across the board. And this is something that you know instinctually. It's just like, you know where it's going to go. You know how it's going to play out. You know how they're going to act. You know how they're going to respond. And you're just kind of like, no. Like, no, it's not. And I get it. I'm not harping on it. I'm laughing because we all do it, right? Like, we all hold on tightly for the things that we want. I was just talking about this in Sagittarius's reading. Like the human brain gravitates towards what's most comfortable, right? So if we don't want to change, if we don't want to see, if we don't want to be bothered to, then we end up in the same cycle over and over and over again. And that's kind of what I'm seeing is like you feel like you should have known better is what it looks like, right? Because something is not working out. Something connected to your stability, your ability to feel like good and grounded in your daily living. Like, it looks like either something has infiltrated that. Yeah, Page of Pentacles keeps popping up. Your money might be a little bit funny this week. And I'm hearing, this is more about the stress. It's the stress of the unknown. It's the stress of like, well, what's on the horizon, or how am I going to juggle all of this? What I love is things always work out. I don't mean that in a cliche, but it definitely has this vibe of just remembering that you always make it through. Even if this week it doesn't look so apparent on the surface, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's as horrible as like that your end results are going to be horrible, right? And that's kind of what I'm hearing. Like, this is just a part of the process. I'm hearing like you were working really hard, desperately to save something, and someone's just not on the same page anymore. And this is a really hard situation for you. This is something that you really loved, something that like I'm hearing like it reminds me a lot, and it doesn't have to be a love situation, but it's like when we're honest, when we're vulnerable, when we like give of ourselves to someone and that gets rejected. That's definitely how this energy feels. Because someone just doesn't want to deal with it anymore. Whatever has happened between you guys, and I'm not saying this in shade, this is how their energy is coming up. Yeah, they don't like it. They don't like how things are going, but at the same time, this is basically saying like they had to make a choice, had to make a decision to set their boundaries. And it's really hard for you because I think at the end of the day, like I said, you were giving this person's situation some type of olive branch or some type of like, hey, let's do this, let's connect, let's collaborate, whatever this may be. And I think it's been really hard to, I see you kind of like hiding behind your ego a little bit, like trying to lick your wounds or making sure that people don't see you doing that because it feels humbling. It feels humbling in a way, again, that you weren't really anticipating. Like, I'm seeing that your intuition was telling you and will continue to tell you, but it is that value of like, as humans, when we hold on to a fantasy, an ideal that doesn't necessarily exist. And I'm not here to like poo-poo anything for you. It just looks like someone couldn't deliver. They couldn't deliver. And they weren't being honest, especially with this high priestess. This is someone who like maybe struggled to communicate to you what some of their problems and issues were, or they kind of just always had it in the back of their mind, like you were a stepping stone. They were going like, and again, I'm not saying that harshly, especially in relationships where there is love or intimacy or dynamics where like you really trust this person. That's how it looks. It looks like you really trusted this person. And I don't see them directly backstabbing you. I see them like they're just putting up boundaries. Like, nope, this is just not going to work anymore. And I'm not going to do this anymore. Right. And I think that's kind of the hardship for you, the reverberations of those decisions, because it puts you in a place that you weren't really expecting or anticipating. And it's hard not to feel taken advantage of. And here's the thing. I'm not saying that this person's situation is innocent. I don't necessarily see that. I see that like they were hiding. Unfortunately, they were hiding. And what can you do about that, right? Like, what can you do if someone's unwilling to have a conversation with you? Because on your end, it's like, well, I was doing X, Y, and Z to like show them that like I'm on board or whatever, like I'm supporting them, and they just didn't see it that way. But again, it kind of goes back to this value of when we hold on to someone or something for too long, it does kind of end up biting us in the butt, especially when we know better. And it does kind of look like, I'm not shaming you by saying this, please don't hear that, but it does kind of look like you had some intuition around this. And like I said, I'm not saying that to shame you, like, oh, you should have. It's not that vibe. It's just more spirit is highlighting, okay, so when you're picking these things up in the future, start taking note, right? Like really kind of understand what's going on. Take that step back. Don't just brush it under the rug. Maybe this could have ended in a little bit more peaceful way had it not been so important for you to hold on to it. Or it's like that belief, right? That belief that like you don't deserve. It's remembering that you're more, you're worthy of more. Whatever you were taking was selling you short, right? Like whatever you were receiving, it wasn't in alignment with who you are and what you want. And I feel like that's kind of where the disconnect is. It feels like this is something that you just didn't think through, or you liked the idea of it. It sounded really good on the surface. And then actually underneath, there was a lot of problems. There was a lot of problems that did pop up, and now we're kind of seeing the results of those things. Not good, bad, right, or wrong, because again, Spirit's not going to leave you hanging. And if anything, this is the promise that, like, if you take this lesson for what it is, there is abundance and there is success around the corner. You just got to keep trying, right? This to me is all about going back to the drawing board, not being afraid to like see things, people for who and what they are, being honest with yourself about what that is, and then adjusting your decisions accordingly. Because even though this sucks, even though there's an ending, even though it's closing out a chapter, there's something here that's like way better for you. I think you invested more in this dynamic, in this relationship, than they did to you. And I think that that's kind of where things got fuzzy. And I feel like you're kind of in that space of receiving the, reverberations from it, like just kind of the aftermath, the effects of what this decision has kind of presented to you in your life. Still holding on a little bit, so be mindful of that, Capricorn. Try not to be too stubborn. You're a strong sign. It's easy to like work things out, but maybe it's better just not to, right? And I would really encourage you to take some time to really think things through before your next action step. So I really hope this helped. Thank you so much for your time, energy always. I hope you found messages that resonated for you here. Definitely drop comments below if you did. I love to hear, or just say, hey, share, and a little love, a little TLC. I so appreciate all the love, all the support to the channel. Know it blesses my heart, and I'm sending that love and blessings back to you.